Doomsday Download. Okay, welcome to another episode of the Doomsday Download. I am Talon Wake 2, the sequel.
Oh!
And sat across from me is the one and only, the slithery shadow man himself, Dole Patrol. How are you, sir?
That's me. I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I've been playing a lot of a game, which you might be able to guess from the way we set that up.
What is it?
The Witcher 3? No.
Oh, cool, dude.
No, Alan Wake will be the main topic of the day, especially the sequel, Alan Wake 2. Also going to talk about some third-person horror games, which friggin' that was
Ooh.
exciting, dude. I went down a rabbit hole. Did you go down a rabbit hole?
I did a little bit.
Yeah, there's some good ones out there. But, of course, before we can get any of that, the question of the day. Ooh, good spookiness.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, so do you have a question of the day?
I do. Okay. If you had to have one director direct the rest of your life, who would it be?
Ooh, one director direct the rest of my life.
You were looking at me like you knew what I was going to ask you.
No, I thought you were going to say, if you could have one direction, do any song for you or something. And I was like, where are you pulling this question
One of their
from?
hits, dude. You have to pick one of their hits.
It's the year 2009, and the hit band One Direction.
I don't think they were even around in 2009, were they?
I think they were like a 2012-ish, but I went 2009 because it just felt funny in my head.
Yeah. They were probably big in the UK or something.
Oh, most def, dude. He was big in 2009. Okay, so if I could have one director, I would go with... I'm going to go with Edgar Wright. I just love his style, and I feel like there's a half good chance that I'm going to get a good, fun story. But there's also a chance I'm just in the end of the world, and there are aliens or zombies or bad people in a town.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
When I thought of the question 5 seconds ago, my immediate thought was Richard Linklater.
Ooh. Okay, so some good casual conversations. We like that.
Yeah, a lot of depth. I don't know if you've seen Everybody Wants Some, but it's just like a super positive movie. So yeah, just kind of, I love the feel of pretty much all of his movies.
Yeah.
So I think that's the direction I would go.
Yeah, well, and also you had a Boyhood, so
Whoa,
you get to be in Boyhood too.
Is that me in that movie?
Yeah, dude, you've been sleep acting this whole time.
Whoa.
So yeah, just picture the kid from Boyhood. That's what Dylan looks like, totally.
Yeah. Now, that's what I look like now.
Exactly. No, that's a great question. I really do like. Okay, so just kind of a follow up to that. What's the worst director to direct your life story from this point on?
Probably Quentin Tarantino.
Really?
Yeah, because it just would be like shockingly violent. Obviously, I love his movies, but yeah, and like everybody always dies. So
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. I do think that he's too good a director still. I think he would have some nice twists and turns. And stuff.
sure, yeah.
And also, you might be the hero of the story and get to live to the end. So
sure.
here's my answer for the worst, and it's a good bad director. What's Uwe Boll or whatever his fucking name is?
Who dat?
So he's the dude who does exclusively like super shitty knockoff movies, and they're always like action movies that have no plot and bad set pieces, and they're like notoriously bad. He like gets them funded by the German government or something, but I forget which ones he's done off the top of my head. I just remember people always saying that like he is in a class of his own as far as being a terrible director.
Oh, okay.
So just imagine, not only are you in a shitty action movie, but he's the guy who's like yelling at you and saying like, you know, this is what you must do next. And you're like, oh God, this is too much. Tommy Wiseau, but that'd be funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd dig a life directed by him.
Hell yeah. Okay, this is my question for you. You ready?
Yeah.
What is your funniest fear? So what I mean by that is a lot of people would say fear of dying, but that's not directly funny. So what is something that is unique to you where you're like, people are not going to believe this, but...
Oh, I don't know. I would say, because you and I share a pretty big fear.
We do.
I don't know how funny that is, considering anytime I even like see a picture that represents that fear, it like my heart sinks.
What is it? Tell the people.
Submechnophobia.
Okay.
But also just kind of any man-made object in the water.
Yes.
I was so stoked when I found out that you shared this fear with me.
Me too.
And it truly is like, I feel sick to my stomach if I see pictures of things submerged in the water.
Yeah.
So not very funny, and people who are laughing can fuck off.
I'm laughing.
I do have, yeah, fuck off, dude. I do have a pretty irrational fear that anytime my feet are up on like our ottoman, that my knees are gonna get snapped backwards.
I remember this one from a long time ago. And it does actually, like, when you say it, you're like, that is a weird danger to have your legs just like, because they only go one way.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we're really just counting on nothing, no dogs, no children to come, you know, tomahawking into our legs. But
Yeah.
they might.
And you know, my wife is a klutz. Like she is so clumsy.
Yeah.
And I could absolutely see her tripping and falling on my leg. So anytime she's like passing by in front of me, I'll like quickly pull my legs in because I'm afraid she's going to fall and snap my knees backwards.
Yeah. That's a pretty good funny fear. Okay, so yeah, I will say that one of mine you touched on, which is the fear of man-made things in the water. I have seen so many things where I'm just like, that is so rational, but also it's funny to people, I think, because they're like, how can you be afraid of like a chain in the water or a pier in the water? But you don't understand. I don't want my soft, squishy body anywhere near that shit. Get it away.
Yeah.
So spooky. So that one I think is semi-rational. The other one that I will say, though, this is super silly, and it came back to me when I came up with this question. Did I ever tell you about Harry and the Hendersons?
No.
So when I was a kid, I used to watch that movie religiously. So like we had it on VHS, and my mom was a masseuse who would do her appointments in home. So she would literally treat the movie like a babysitter. She'd put it on. I'd be in the other room. I'm like 2 years old. I'm watching it on repeat for weeks on end.
Yeah.
One day she hears a scream, and she comes out to check on me, and I'm not in the living room. Movie's still playing. And she's looking around. She looks behind the couch. She finds me like trembling, like scared.
You're like a cartoon, dude.
And she goes, sweetheart, what's wrong? So all of a sudden, after weeks of watching this movie, my brain just went, oh, that's a monster. And just
What?
tucked me behind the couch.
Dude, you were a broken child.
I mean, weren't we all in some way?
Well, no, you especially, actually.
You know, maybe.
No, it's abnormal and you should feel self-conscious about it.
I mean, have you looked at Harry and the Hendersons since then? Like Harry?
No.
He's a weird looking character. He's in that uncanny valley area where you're like, that's almost a human face, but it's kind of fucked up, you know?
Dude, Candy's going to come home and like Harry and the Hendersons is going to be on. I'm going to be in a closet trembling or something.
Well, that'd be so good. It'd be even funny if you tried to hide behind your couch because it's right up against the walls. So you're just like stuffed into the couch and just like, help me, I'm scared.
Or like I ran away so quick that like my clothes popped off and stayed in the same place because I would also be like a cartoon character.
They've just been hovering for hours waiting for her to come home.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Thanks, dog. And that's perfect because, speaking of things that are spooky and scary, it's not Halloween anymore, but
Is it Talon Wake 2 time?
that's right. So, Alan Wake 2 came out about 10 days ago or so, and it's been doing really well, man. It's got good reviews. People are talking about it maybe being the game of the year, but we're not just here to heap praise. We've got thoughts.
That's
So,
true. Maybe we hate it.
Maybe we hate it. We're going to find out right now. So, here's what I got for you. I've got the spooky ghost emoji. Those are the good things. And then making its triumphant return, the poop emoji. You asked, the people asked for it, it's back. And then my closing thought, which is a flashlight. We can't get to that yet. So where are we starting on this one? You want to go poop or you want to go spooky ghost?
Let's start with a poop.
Okay.
As you know, I just write a list of random thoughts that I have while playing.
Yeah.
So mine will be across the board, but I want to hear a poop from you.
Okay. Jumping right out of the gates, and this is probably one that a lot of people encountered. There have been some bugs.
Yeah.
I know that just happens now, and like with no AAA game seems to be perfect these days. But I had a couple. The audio dropped 30 seconds in, like I was just getting the vibe, and it completely went away. I had to hard reset my game. And then also I had mouths moving out of sync with dialogue, and I was like, "That's some bullshit. You're taking me way out of the immersion with that."
Yeah.
So I just switched to performance mode to fix that. So if anyone runs into that, that's my only recommendation until they actually properly fix it. So it kind of like took down the quality slightly to catch up with the game.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So I had the same thing where the dialogue was out of sync. And I didn't see that as a solution, but mine corrected itself after like the first two cinematics.
Oh, maybe that was it then.
This game is beautiful. It is so good looking.
It is.
I've now gone to a more city environment, and that is just stunning. Like some of the small little environments that it has, there are like hallways with graffiti and stuff, and everything is just so fun to look at.
Oh my God, dude, I'm so glad you brought up the graffiti. That has been one of my favorite things. So I'm also about 4 hours in, so we're exactly in the same spot.
Yeah.
I'm in the city now too. And I'm so glad you brought that up because no spoilers as to what it says, but if you look at the graffiti throughout the city, it's all themed and like reinforcing the plot. So they've done that thing where they're like, this is a perfect recreation of the graffiti you'd really see in life, but we're working in story with it. It's not just, Chaz was here or whatever.
Right,
It's
yeah.
all actually part of the story.
So that's the thing, is like it really makes it feel like they strained over every little detail,
Yeah.
which I really love.
I do agree. That is awesome. And on that same note, you were talking about the next gen graphics, the like face and performance capture, aside from the lip malfunctions, looks great. Like
Yeah.
their face expressions and stuff are so nuanced in this game. It really feels like, and sometimes when you're watching the cutscenes, you're like, this is a genuine performance.
Yeah, and I think that's like kind of what Remedy is known for now, is like that attention to detail and the great writing. And so far, just having kind of just started, you can tell the writing is just stellar.
Yeah, I agree. I think that first chapter, it takes a little while to get going, like
Sure.
as it's doing the setup and the world building and all that stuff. Once it gets going, though, it definitely is like a steady clip.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that first chapter, I really like the FBI agent.
The main girl, Saki.
Yeah. Yeah, she's great. The voice acting is great.
Yeah.
I love the like detective elements that they've thrown in, where you go back to the case board, you're building the cases.
Yeah.
That like agent intuition that she has for like profiling the killer and things like that. That's all a lot of fun. It's fun to go back and kind of put the puzzle pieces together yourself.
Yeah, I will say that is one of my poops. So, Saga's mine cabin. The controls are a little clunky, especially when you get started with like actually dropping things in. It's very finicky. You have to be precise, and you go through it sometimes where you're like, no, that doesn't go there. She gives you some of that kind of stuff.
Sure.
It's kind of a drag on the momentum of the story sometimes too for me, where I'm like, okay, I really want to be playing the game, and it's like, no, go and work through the board, and I'm like, I didn't really want to do that, but okay. This is the big thing though, and I think this is gonna fuck with you a little bit once I tell you, but I couldn't get this out of my head, so I have to tell you. The Richie's brain robbing ability from Community. I don't know if you remember that from like season 6 of Community. So one of the guys who is like on the board for the community college for Greendale. He like robs their thoughts, and he like looks at them, and he's like, you can't tell anyone that I can do this. And he like, recreates that detective scene, and he's like, I robbed your brain. And it's totally wrong information. I'm just like, okay, so on one hand, they're doing the thing where they're like, this is a real FBI agent who's working a case. But then on the other side, they just go to the profiling table, and they're just like, I robbed their brain to figure out the next clue.
Right. So I was thinking the same thing the first time I saw it, but I think it is just an interactive, like an actual visual way to show that what she's deducting from the information she has. So I don't think it's supposed to be her just kind of pulling it out of thin air because she has like a psychic ability. I think the way that they structure it is kind of like these are the skills that she has obtained in her years of being an FBI agent, and this is her applying those skills to profile the killer. Okay. That's how I took it. Maybe it was just me trying to make it realistic.
I hope it's your way, because I think that makes it more fun. But yeah, I the way that I read it, there were some times where it was such a leap in logic for me, like especially because you had just been at that board or whatever, where I was like, I don't know if this really lines up that well.
Sure.
But yeah, I think overall, like, it's a cool idea, and it's a cool execution of. Did you notice that like you'll like pause and go into the cabin, and you'll leave and go back to the real world, and you'll be like in the exact position that you were standing in the cabin?
Yeah.
Just little details like that are cool.
Okay, so I do just want to throw this in there because I really like her. I love that Sam Lake, the dude that plays Alex Casey.
Yeah.
I love that he's in it and looks like he's going to have a huge part in it. And I love that he has the James McCaffrey voice, the Max Payne voice. I love that voice.
Cool. Was he the original Max Payne?
Yeah, so in the first Max Payne, they used his image, his likeness, and like because the cinematics were all like comic strips, but his face was Max Payne's face.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they did James McCaffrey's voice for Max Payne. And then in the third one, I don't know if it's supposed to be modeled after James McCaffrey, but they changed the character model. That's when Rockstar took over Max Payne. So Remedy's Max Payne is Sam Lake. And I think he's like one of the directors on the game as well, or one of the
Yeah, he's one of the writers for this.
one of the writers.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I do agree. I love that actor himself, and I love the performance he's giving, and all that stuff you were just saying is great. The characterization of that guy, though, the veteran, is kind of, at least in that first episode especially, and I'm hoping that I'm just going to be proven wrong by the end of the game, but it's ridiculous. So I'm going to just give you, this is another poop from me. Saga's vet partner is totally the least qualified veteran partner I can ever imagine, because he's supposed to be a few cases from retirement or whatever, is like what he says in the beginning of the game, but he's constantly like asking her questions and saying things like stating the obvious, and it's for the benefit of the player.
Right.
But I wish they had done that he was not the veteran then, where he was the less experienced FBI agent, because it totally takes away his authenticity to be like, oh, I don't know about that. Well, wow, can you see, is there any blood spatter here? You know, he's like just doing hand-holdy things, when realistically, if I was going to say this is an immersive story, it would be more like, check this out, this is what I found. He should be bringing you things that he finds, because he's a better officer than she is, or a better agent than she is.
Sure. I do love too, now that they're tying in more of the Alex Casey is kind of Max Payne thing. I like that, and I was excited when I saw that you go to the city, that they might tie that in more.
Yeah.
Okay, another one of the things that I liked was I love a small town. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I love a small town.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason I love the first one. I love that it takes place in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
That's a huge benefit for me.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the setting is iconic, and obviously it's a return to Bright Falls from the first game.
Right.
And yeah, it looks beautiful, like you were saying, in this new version of it. Also, another really cool cameo that comes up in this part of the game that you're talking about. Fucking Sean Ashmore. I had to go find his name, but that's the dude who plays Tim Breaker, the sheriff in the town. I was like, this is great. They called him Sheriff Breaker. He was their guy in Quantum Break. So it's a little Easter egg to that.
That's clever.
Yeah, so I thought that was really, really cool that they included him, and I like him. I when I see him in the game, I'm like, it's cool that Remedy is kind of like reusing their favorite guys. You know?
I know. I'm hoping to see Jesse from Control in it, because I didn't realize that the Bureau of Control would play such a big part in this game, and it's already mentioned several times. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it definitely is. I love the way they're weaving all of their universes together. I think that's a really unique thing for a game studio to do, and like it makes sense. They're kind of doing, it's really cool actually. The fact that Alan Wake is loosely based on Stephen King, and then they're kind of doing like a weaving all the works together in a bigger universe Stephen King thing. I'm like, fuck yeah, guys, do your thing.
Yeah, I know. The storytelling is just so good with these games.
It is. It's pretty impressive. Let's see. Hopping along, I will say, I thought that this is actually kind of a hop back. Really cool execution, and you'll see
An execution.
An execution of the cold open, where you're playing as the man from the lake. Again, I'm not going to spoil who that is.
Yeah.
But I thought that was just a really cool way to hop into the game, and made that character more meaningful as they go on, you know? So,
Yeah. So one thing about the opening of the game and kind of that first chapter is I was hoping that it would be spookier, because the first game is legitimately spooky. I do hope that there are some legitimately scary parts in this game.
Yeah, I think there will be a couple, because like you said, that first one is so famously a horror third-person shooter game.
Yeah.
So it feels like this is going to have some of that vibe. But yeah, they're working their way to it.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last thing I will say, I really like the live action stuff, but the acting is so goofy in parts.
It can be.
Yeah, but I think that just kind of adds to the charm. So
Yeah.
that's all been fun.
Yeah, totally. And I think that like it's almost got a camp quality to it, which is not necessarily a drag, you know.
Yep.
I think if the whole game was at that quality, we would be like, okay, I'm not going to play this.
Sure.
But it's like in the middle of your quality playthrough, they're like, okay, and then here's a cutscene kind of thing that we just had fun with, you know, and then they move back to the actual story. So it works for me.
Yeah.
No spoilers, but the end of chapter 1 is the excitement that the chapter sorely needed. So that's what I was saying before about the pacing. And then, yeah, we already touched on this, but later in the city with Wake is so fucking rad. The new light mechanic, you've gotten to use that.
Yeah.
It's really fucking cool, man.
It is.
The first time I was like, I don't know, this is interesting. And then even by the second or third time, I was like, I love the way that this interacts and changes a scene. And it's just really inventive.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm digging that. And I will just reiterate because I know it's under your poop category, but I really like Saga's detective, like the case board building the cases. And similarly, Alan Wake's like building the story and changing his surroundings by changing the story.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the funny thing too, I guess, about that critique. I actually think his fits better because he's in a battle with the darkness for me. And it seems like that's him like going to the arena where he's like, okay, how do I fight this thing? I have to fight it using the same tools it's using, which is like this mental space, this dark head space. Like I said, maybe when I play back through to the end of the game, hers will grow on me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I like them all as characters. I really like playing as her story. And yeah, there's some kick-ass fights, man. That's the other thing about it. They do gunplay really well.
Yeah, they do. Combat is just a lot of fun in their games.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so I want to hear, dude. Do you recommend this game? Are you going to finish playing this game? What are your final thoughts?
Okay, here it is, the flashlight of it all.
Yep.
The more I play, the more that there is to like. That's honestly the truth. Like I said, it started out a little slow. I was like, I don't know if I'm even in the middle of this or ready for this yet. But it changed, obviously, by the end of that first chapter. And I really do see bright things ahead.
Oh, dude. Stop it.
Did it. Yeah, and so I'm stoked to finish it. It's crazy, man. It's a wild ride. I'm really enjoying it so far. How about you?
Yes, I would highly recommend this game. I am really enjoying it. I love that universe and I love being back in it. The very few cons of the game do not even come close to all the stuff that I love about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm absolutely going to finish it. I keep just finding myself wanting to get back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been nuts too, man, that this has come out this year because there have been like 10 incredible games that are all like really neck and neck and tearing at each other for game of the year. And I'm really glad that this is another one that's on that list, you know, because it's like the quality is there. But speaking of game of the year and, you know, spooky great games.
Great segue.
Yeah. We have to talk now about the overall third-person shooter, which I'm excited about because, dude, there are some classics on this list.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to be really surprised by the order that we put them in.
I'm going to start with a few honorable mentions.
Take me there.
Resident Evil 2.
Okay.
Legit so scary.
Yeah.
Like, it is such a scary game, and the remaster is terrifying.
Yeah.
Even that short time that you and I put into the remaster, so scary.
Yeah.
Didn't quite make the list, but it's a great game. And then the first Silent Hill.
Yeah.
That was like the first game. I think that may have been the first like horror game that I played, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Having that fixed camera and just kind of like the funky way to move around the environment made it scarier for me.
Definitely. That's actually one of my honorable mentions too. So while we're there, I'll just say that like I had forgotten most of the details of the game, but I watched some of a playthrough of it on YouTube, and I was like, man, like this misty atmosphere of it, so iconic, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any other honorable mentions?
Nope, just a 2.
Okay, I've got 2 other ones besides Silent Hill. And actually, I haven't played either of these, but while I was doing my research, I saw these pop up again and again as people's like, these are incredible. So I just want to give them a little shine. Why
Okay.
not? Alone in the Dark and Evil Within are 2 that are supposed to be really, really, really good. Again, haven't played them, but shout out to you guys.
I will say I played Evil Within. Didn't love it.
Okay.
I played, so there was like a weird remake of Alone in the Dark that
Yeah.
happened in like 2006 or something.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. Played that and it was not good. I did not like it at all. So bad honorable mentions, dude.
Well, I think also there might be another remake of Alone in the Dark because there was one coming out for PS5.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe that's true.
Okay, number 5, Until Dawn.
Okay.
So
That'll go up
Until
on my
Dawn
list.
just did crazy shit when it came to gameplay mechanics and storytelling.
Yep.
I love that there's such finality to some of the decisions you make in killing people off. And it was also just fun to see, like, I feel like that was the first time I saw, like, real actors, a cast of real actors in a game,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That one will be coming up for me for sure pretty soon. But no spoilers where it is.
Right.
But I do want to say that I'm really happy that you chose that one out of the what it's not called Take-Two. What's the company that does all the or not the company, but the series of games that are like movies that you play through?
I don't know.
Oh. Okay. Well, anyways, you've played like 4 of those with Kaden.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you chose that one.
Yeah, the other ones are fun, and there's some fun stories there. One of them is kind of shit, but Yeah, Until Dawn, the OG, just still holds up so well.
Which one's shit? Throw it
It's
under
like the second of the Dark Pictures anthology. There are 3 of them.
Okay.
The second one is shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So the Dark Pictures, there you go. Okay, my number 5. I almost said my number 2. I don't know where I am. I'm blacking out. Resident Evil. I said the remakes, but I'm going to specify number 2. Again, same thing you were saying, and I'm glad we're on the same like boat there. I thought it was beautiful, super well made. I think the gameplay is awesome, and I love that like the new version of it is the dream version they wanted to make originally.
Yeah.
Ton of love put into that game. What I will say though is, like you said, we played it for several hours, and there's a lot of puzzles that are rinse and repeat, and you go from A to B to C to A to C to B, and you run back to the same zombies, and they keep coming back. It just felt a little boxed in.
Yep.
So I can't say for me that it's like a game I love or that I want to go back to, but I do recognize it as like a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Also, and I think that there are a lot of people that would like this, but you can get stuck in this game. The resource management and how it works, you can get stuck in a part that you cannot pass because you don't have the supplies to get past it.
So you need to restart.
Exactly. Yeah, and that is just... Don't get me wrong, sometimes I like a challenge, but I've told you I play games to alleviate my stress, and that is so stressful.
Yeah, oh, definitely. That would be, I feel like that's nightmare fuel alone for you.
Yeah.
If a game was like, guess what? You put 10 hours in and you need to restart.
Yeah, that's too much for me.
What's your number 4?
Number 4 is Dead Rising. The first Dead Rising.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wish I thought about that one. That's a great call.
Yeah, so it's funny because when I was looking up lists of third-person horror games, none of the Dead Risings popped up. But yeah, when I thought of it, it's just, we put so many hours into it. The first game, following that Dawn of the Dead formula where you're in the mall and you have to gather resources within the mall. You have goofy weapons, kind of campy. It's all so charming. Yeah. I love that they actually put a time limit on the story where you have a certain amount of days that you have to survive. That's all so much fun to me. And again, just a nostalgia of, you know, you and I playing that for hours.
100%. What was the guy's name? It was like the cheesiest action hero name too. It was like Adam West, but not Adam West.
No, it's Frank
West.
That sounds right.
It is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frank West. I remember the first time we played it, I was like, this guy's fucking cool. He's got a leather jacket and he won't take shit from anywhere. And look at how spiky his hair is. Yeah, those were simpler days.
Now, I will say, so he comes back for Dead Rising 4, and it takes place in the mall again. But it's like, somehow it's like Christmas decorations or something. I don't know. It's like Christmas themed. And every Christmas I do give it a shot, and I'll play at least for like 5 hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's not one that you've beat, but it's one that you keep coming back to.
Yeah, just because it's fun to have kind of like a Christmas themed, goofy horror game.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like that call. Okay, my number 4, we already talked about this a little bit, but Until Dawn. And it's funny now that I think about it. I wanted to put this on the list, but I also thought originally this was going to be third-person shooters, and there's really not much shooting in that game.
Yeah.
It's more like you
true.
just fulfill a role and act out the scenes. But it's fucking incredible, man. I mean, like, it's one of the simplest from a gameplay perspective, so I can see if people are like, I like to play video games, not watch movies. And it's like, okay, I get it. It's a movie, basically, that you play. But the execution of it is pretty, like, impeccable. And like you said, the decision tree thing, that was one of the few times that I've seen that executed in a way that felt actually like it mattered, you know? Versus you get 3 dialogue options, but they all do the same thing ultimately.
Yeah.
That was a game where it's like, no, these motherfuckers can die and stay dead, so hope you choose right.
I know. It makes it so stressful. Those are games that are really fun to play with another person, too.
Yeah, they're definitely group experiences.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. So on to number 3.
Yep.
This might surprise you that this is at my number 3. DBD, Dead by Daylight.
I knew you were going to sneak this on here. And again, when I initially thought like this was going to be a shooter, I was like, well, that doesn't count. But I was like, no, these dudes love that game. They got to put it on this list.
It was going to be on here no matter what the criteria was.
Yeah.
Just because this game, the replayability of this game and the amount of hours that I put into this game, There are few games that I've sunk this much time into.
Yes.
Mostly because it is a fun multiplayer experience. I don't play it alone. I only play it with Candy or with friends that want to get on and play. But yeah, it's just such a simple concept. You're dropped into the match, 4 players, got to start 5 generators, and then you escape, and there's a killer after you. And I love that they are getting these movie franchise licenses where they can have, like they just added Xenomorph from Alien.
Yeah.
So that all is so fun to me, and it makes it, honestly, I don't even think of this game really as a horror game just because it's not scary, but there are such tense moments when you have a killer coming up on you and you're nearing the goal. So yeah, I've had so much fun with this game. It had to be on the list.
Yeah, I think it's pretty horrifying. There are definitely creatures that are scarier than others. Like there's ones that like literally appear out of nowhere and give you the biggest jump scare. And that's impressive when you can play a game for hours and hours and hours and still get jump scared by the variety of villains you're competing against. It's really cool.
Yeah, you're kind of a pain in the ass with that because you don't like help all that much in that game.
It's true.
Because you're just scared. You're
just scared.
behind the couch trembling.
Well,
like
yeah,
the
I
little
am.
cartoon character you are.
Dude, if they ever put Harry and the Hendersons and the Hendersons
Dude,
as the villains,
I'll have to call your mom.
You'll have to call my mom. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I don't play that game that much. It's fun, but it is a hard time for me to stick with.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it definitely is. So that's a good call. I can see why you put that on there. My number 3 is Alan Wake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude. I fucking loved it so much. And honestly, I mean, by the end of Alan Wake 2, who knows? Maybe that'll creep onto the list. But for now, I'll just say that Alan Wake is like such a concrete horror atmospheric game
Yeah.
that it feels like it really epitomizes this list. And when I played it, it actually took me a couple playthroughs to like really get into it and to finish it. But once I had finished it, I was like, that was a unique, rare game. And I'm really glad that they made it.
Yeah. That's a great call.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 2. Resident Evil 4.
Wow. Okay.
I fucking love this game.
Nice.
I love just how goofy and over the top it is. The combat is a lot of fun.
Yep.
Legitimately some creepy moments. You and I first played this on the Wii.
Yes.
When visiting your family. We spent the week there and we just played it all week. Master, my God, does this game hold up? I could not stop playing it.
That's
They
cool.
have a very fun mercenaries mode that you can go back to, and it's just essentially waves of bad guys that you get to take out.
Cool.
But yeah, this game fucking holds up.
Yeah. Because it's the same studio that did both remasters, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing, like I said, the amount of like love and attention that they've paid to those games is really remarkable because we do live in a time when we're getting a lot of remasters and about half the time they're shittier than the original.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did you fuck this up so bad? And they're like, it was a cash grab. We just wanted the money.
Yeah.
So they're the opposite. They are definitely a studio that is like, people love this and we need to make it good or we're going to lose our jobs.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. They did a great job.
Yeah. Well, my number 2 is actually the number 1 of my whole heart. The Last of Us, Part 1.
Okay. I specifically chose not to put The Last of Us here because I wanted it to end up on a category somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now, reflecting on it, I realize it's already on the hard drive, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
That's
but
safe either way.
yeah, but I did leave those off of here.
Okay, you would have put them somewhere on the list, but yeah.
Absolutely. I think Last of Us 2 would have been high on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I do like that it would have been high for you. And people might be wondering, like, okay, wait, if this is my first game and like my favorite game, how is it not number 1 on this list? Let me say 2 things, which is number 1, the top guy on this list is the bigger capital H horror atmospheric game. I love The Last of Us. It's my favorite game. I've played it through 5 times. I played it on different difficulties. It's the best. But it's more of like an action drama with horror weaved in.
Yeah.
I wanted to put my number 1 as a straight up, you are going to be fucking scared and it's going to be hard, but there's also going to be shooting and it's incredible and rare and special. So I wanted to spotlight something new. So just shout out Last of Us. I love you. But this other one is got to be number 1 this time.
Yeah, that's a good call. Like I said, I don't really see them as horror games, which I know is like, well, the world ended and the horrors of life or whatever, which I get.
There's
And
zombies and clickers.
okay, dude.
And
but,
bloaters and
All right, nerd. Anyways, I didn't really consider them horror games. Also because I think no matter what, if I did, it would take up 2 slots on my list.
Sure.
So yeah, I didn't include those, but yeah, those would have been high up on my list. Okay, for my number 1,
Shit.
Alan Wake.
Really?
Yes, I fucking love Alan Wake so much.
Oh, I love that.
It is the only game that I've played as an adult that still scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Where you're like you're happy to be in like daylight in the town around other people, you know? That feeling that we would have playing like Half-Life as kids, where you get that like relief from the spookiness. Yeah, that's the only game I've played as an adult where I felt that way. Love the storytelling. Love a small town. I've said it before. I'll say it again. And it is every time I play it, I want to go back and watch Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And I realize the reason for that is like, I love that type of storytelling, even though I fell off of Twin Peaks hard.
Sure.
I love that type of storytelling. And this does it so well that I just want it to continue after I finish the game.
Yeah.
And that's another remaster that they just knocked out of the park.
Yeah, that was actually the first time I think I beat it all the way through was with the remaster, and yeah, that's a good one to put on the list. I mean, honestly, dude, like I said, it's rare. There's nothing else quite like it. The thing that it did that I've never seen any other game do, and it's because it's woven into the story, but like the flashlight first and then the gun heightens the terror and the suspense so much because you still have things lumbering towards you, and you know essentially, okay, they have a shield level. I have to get through that shield level before I can do anything with the actual killing. And then, of course, the resources are limited, and it's just a really cool game. And also, you know, we grew up in deep woods, so
Yeah.
it adds another layer for us of being like, yeah, there could be some spookies around. You don't know.
Yeah, and actually, Candy played this before I did. Like, she played it days ago on the 360.
Yeah.
And even just watching her, I was like, that game is scary as fuck. I don't know how you're playing that by yourself right now.
Yeah, dude. It's so good. I'm really glad you put that on there.
Yeah.
My number 1, Dead Space. Dead Space is fucking incredible, man.
Yeah.
This is also funny because total transparency, because I believe in that here. I've never gotten to beat Dead Space.
Okay.
I played it all the way through to 85% one time when I was getting out of college and moving up to Portland. And then I had to put everything in storage for like 4 months. So it was like a forced bounce off, right? It was like, I'm out of my power. I can't go back to it now. But I'm telling you, dude, I know from the 85% that I played and from what I just know of it, it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
And the heightened sense of terror that you feel throughout the entire fucking game and the atmospheric pressure of it all and the setting, dude, of this dead, icy, cold, frozen ship in the middle of space. You feel helpless and hopeless, and it's just you and whatever fucking weird, you know, stapler gun that you're holding. And that's the other thing too, dude, is everything about that character design and the weapon design is iconic in the way that Half-Life designs can be iconic, where it's like they don't just give you, here's a 9mm, it's run of the mill, you'll find it anywhere. They're like, no, we decided to work in that, you know, these are like, I forget what they even are. They're like riveting guns, but like shit like that becomes your weapons. And like the health bar, instead of giving you a UI, they're like, your spine is your fucking health bar. If that goes down, you're dead.
Yeah.
The things busting out of the grates, they look creepy and atmospheric and like Cronenberg-y and crazy. It's a wonderful fucking game. And honestly, when I was making this list, it wasn't even hard to say that it was the number 1 because I was like, there's never been a game, as much as I love Alan Wake, as much as I love Last of Us, that is like purely scared me and also urged me to keep playing.
Sure. Yeah. And you haven't played the remaster, right?
No, I just came out, by the way, on Game Pass. So I have it now.
Okay.
And I'm going to play through it. But yeah, I've watched some of the highlights of it. And again, dude, it's like Resident Evil 2 or 4. The love was put into it. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Alan Wake.
Yep.
And we have Dead Space. Going on the hard drive. Two great
games.
picks. The best, according to us.
Yeah. I mean, who's there to defy us?
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't matter if you do because we've been chosen.
That's right. So, of course, that brings us to
Oh.
the binges
Oh.
on
Oh. No, you finish.
the fringes.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh. Okay, so what are you binging?
Okay. So I will say I was just out of town for a week and I brought a handful of books. I technically finished this one, but I will recommend it. Joyland by Stephen King. So he they have like these hard case crime novels and like different big authors will go in, they'll like write like a few of theirs, or one or two. I think he has 3, and it's supposed to be like an homage to like kind of the dime novels type things, but it's in their writing style.
Okay.
And Joyland was such a quick and entertaining read. It follows this 21-year-old who takes a break from college to go work at like an amusement park on the boardwalk.
That's cool.
On the East Coast. I think it takes place in North Carolina.
Okay.
And there was a murder that happened there, and he kind of gets entangled with the locals and this murder that had already occurred.
Right.
And it's great. It's, like I said, super easy read. I actually read it in 2 days, just while working, and really enjoyed it. So now I'm excited to get into the other ones. The other book I'm reading, The Jungle, Upton Sinclair, is too fucking depressing to recommend to anybody.
That's so funny. That is one of the books that I read in school.
Yeah.
And it's a rare one that I enjoyed from school, but I enjoyed it in the way where I was like, I never want to read that again.
Yeah. So that's funny because I read it in school as well, and remembered how brutal it was, but nothing prepares you for it when you're actually in the moment reading it.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, that book helped push along things like the FDA being created, because it was kind of a hidden horror in America, and it was like, oh, it's that fucking bad? Yeah, we should probably get a government agency to look into this.
Yeah, it led to like a massive investigation that helped establish like the pure food laws.
There you go. So never say that fiction can't do anything. All right, so similarly, I have a couple quick binges.
Okay.
One of them's really quick though. Gen V just wrapped up.
Yeah.
Really fucking good. I watched all 8 episodes. It got better as the show went on, and I think that anyone who likes The Boys should definitely check it out, not only because it's a good companion piece to The Boys, but it also is actually literally a companion piece to The Boys now. So they're doing this thing where like there's plot elements that will directly weave into the next season of The Boys. You don't necessarily have to watch the show, because I'm sure they're going to do enough filling people in who didn't watch the show.
Sure.
But it will make it richer and much better moving forward, because there's like new villains that are coming out of this, and a new virus that's coming out of this, and all kinds of cool stuff. So
that's awesome.
It's sick, man. It's a really good show. But the other thing that I wanted to throw some love on, and I actually watched this weeks ago, and I've been saving it. I've been holding on to it.
Okay.
It just didn't come up naturally. But do you remember the movie Sunshine?
The sci-fi? Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's incredible, man. It really is. It's like, it came out in 2007, I want to say, or something. And it has Cillian Murphy, and it has Chris Evans before he was like Captain America, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And a way bigger cast than that. Like a ton of people you're going to recognize. It's like a nonstop sci-fi thrill ride once it really gets going, and just insane. So a peek behind the curtain, it's one of the favorite movies of James Clement, who is the co-host of The Weekly Planet, which I love. So for years I've just been like, yeah, he keeps saying how much he loves that movie. I really want to check it out. And it's on YouTube for free. So
oh, nice.
I just had a night where I was like, yeah, I am going to watch that. And by the end I was like, that was fucking nuts. And the ending is so fucking satisfying. It's really good.
So that's interesting, because you are like the 3rd or 4th person to mention that to me within the last month.
Oh, so it's having a little heat up moment.
Yeah, what the fuck, dude? I always confuse it with Pandorum, which is why I think I don't recognize it, because I always think it's a movie with Ben Foster. I'm pretty sure he was in Pandorum, and I didn't love that movie, so.
Yeah, he's not in this one. But I will say also, again, not a spoiler, but there is one character that I want you to keep your eye out for, who is one of the most like subtly unsettling characters in any sci-fi movie or like thing like this that I've ever seen. So
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, my boy. Tell people where they can find us.
Oh, dude, if they want to follow us for like some pop culture trivia and some games and whatnot, they can do that on Instagram at
Doomsday Download Pod.
And if they want to follow us over on TikTok, where we do a lot of that good stuff, got a lot of like good indie games you can play and horror stuff to watch, they can do that at
Doomsday Download.
And if they want to write to us and they want to say, you know, man, I can't believe that, I don't know, Until Dawn was on the list or something. Or if they want to send us a fan art, what have you, they can write to us at
doomsdaydownloadpod@gmail.com.
Very good job, my little robot man. Thank you. So, yeah.
Hey, people, leave us a review, okay?
Yes.
Wherever you're at, give us 5 stars.
Please do.
You can trash us in your little review, but give us, if it's less than 5 stars, we're not going to read it. So if you really want to get us, if you really want to piss us off, you really want to insult us, and you don't just want to scream into the void, 5 stars and you say whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll read it.
Yeah. And you know what would be great? Tell us what your favorite game on this list, or not even this list, but in this category is.
Yeah. Or just talk shit. I'll reiterate this again.
Yeah.
Really trash us. Specifically, trash Towel. We'll pull his couch out from the wall so he can crawl behind it and tremble in fear because you're just going to trash him.
Or trash him for having the submectophobia, which only he has. It's totally unique to him.
How dare you? All right, folks. Well, if you're listening to this on the way to work, have a great day at work.
And if you're listening to this and coming back from work, I hope you had a great day.
Night-night.
Nighty-night.